CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. All right, folks, we got a really cool episode we're going to try to knock out here. This is my guy on screen. His name is Seth Ratner, and he's out doing on-site and off the grid. And what this is he loads up this RV. He hits middle America, where we all know a lot of this stuff happens in oil and gas and the things that are connected to it. He is with East Hills Instruments, and they've got this, I like to say, incredible instrumentation because the durability is off the charts. He gets around and hangs around with these people that are out here doing this work. They're out in the oil fields. He hasn't quite figured out how to get the RV out onto an oil rig. So maybe in the future, if you guys follow him and keep up with this journey, we can, get him a helicopter rental, get out on an oil rig and talk to some real people, get these leathernecks telling you what it's really all about. None of the shenanigans with AI and all that stuff. We're going to have a real conversation. So first of all, Seth, thank you for making the time. You are right now out in OKC. That's Oklahoma City, folks. And I've been out there years ago. This is where a lot of this stuff happens between Oklahoma City, Texas. You all know oil and gas, the production, the refineries. A lot of these have their own fire departments on site so that they can handle the emergencies. And then you've got that great instrumentation. Another person that's going to join us today is Bart Freudiger. Did I say that right, Bart?
Yes, you did.
All right. Awesome. And Bart is with MNM Enterprises. That's M like Michael, N like Nancy, M like Mary. We're going to chop it up with him some. And then we've also got Ernie DeLany, and he is with Probes Unlimited. And save your jokes, folks. This is all really serious stuff about what we do. If you follow CMMS Radio, you'll see some of the people that come in, support, and share their insights. Somebody I want to shout out right now for specifically Grease Thief is Rich Wurzbach. I know a bunch of people that work in these environments, so they'll probably be pleased to hear some of these stories. So, Seth, for you to kick this thing off, and by the way, man, thanks for sending me some of that footage with the CMMS Radio logo on the RV, cruising around. That's cool stuff, man. I dig it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for the awesome T-shirt. I showed that swag on LinkedIn. I think it was yesterday, but it's all a blur because we're running and gunning and doing this stuff. But you're in Oklahoma City for ISHM, ISHM, and that's a huge gas industry show. And I was checking it out a little bit earlier today, and I was like, look, I'm not going to try to figure this out myself. I'm going to ask Seth, and then you can roll it to Bart, and then you can roll it over to Ernie about what is this show all about? Why should people pay attention to it? And what kind of learning are each of you getting from the event? What are you hearing about? What's going on out here in the real world of oil and gas? You're first, Seth.
The big word is efficiency. Efficiency is where it's at. The main reason is the prices are so high on gas and oil that if there's any way to run things more efficient and monitor, that's what it's about. Just realize if you're losing a little, you're losing a lot. So all of the systems, all the pipelines, it's all about monitoring and making sure that what's going through there is the correct amount and it's flowing correctly. Otherwise, it could be a financial disaster. You're moving a lot of expensive material through a pipeline.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, I think there's a kind of an overarching thing that people would want to know about, how a lot of this, people in the industry are very, very focused, or they should be, but I think probably 98%, I might be wrong, on safety, because a lot of these things are connected to that as well. Because
100%.
These are elements that we, not me myself, but that we work with, that are incredibly volatile, and they're critical to the lifestyles that we lead when it comes to things that we make, things that we drive, all the other places that it reaches. And I think that's another thing that's really important, is the safety, because every once in a while we hear about a real big horror story. Was that kind of a common theme as well at this event?
100%. You hit the nail right on the head. Safety, efficiency, they're synonymous. They go hand in hand. The the things that are selling is showing the next generation, which is designed with alarms or trips, anything that could be preventative of an accident, both on the technician and the mechanic or environmental. So you'll see a lot of the new devices that are being offered out there have a safety mechanism in there or a trip. Wireless is key. That's big to send alarms and messages. So it's in real time. That's what you're seeing.
Yeah, and so if you don't mind, I'd love to switch it over to Bart because I just came up with a different question I'd love for him to attack. Bart, man, welcome to CMMS Radio. Love the mustache, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, man. The thing I wanted to ask you about, you've been in the industry 40 plus years. You've probably, in a sense, seen it all. I'm sure there might be some things you haven't quite seen yet, but the thing I want to talk to you about is with like skilled trades and more so around oil and gas and what you deal with. Are we suffering with a lack of skilled manpower in what you do and what's happening out here in the world of oil and gas? Is it just as challenging there to find the real ones, the good ones, or is that different?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the guys that have all the knowledge, they're getting older and they're starting to retire. And the guys coming up, a lot of them come out of college, great educations, but they don't have any hands-on practice. So they get out there, they think they know it because they read it in a book. Well, the guys that have all the knowledge have retired. So like the school at ISHM is crucial to them because they get real world application that they don't read in a book, and they get to walk the floor and talk to people like us that have been out there and understand the issues and the problems that are going on. So they get a different feel. They get a field education in the classroom at shows like this.
Yeah, and it's really good stuff. And then what we all hope and we know is the real secret is take what you've learned and go work with it, fail, grow, and really learn and take ownership of the skills. Now, do you yourself get opportunities? I'm assuming you get opportunities all the time where these young bucks, these cowboys and cowgirls coming up want to get with you and pick your brain. Is that a common thing for you? Do you do a lot of that kind of stuff with people?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The first thing I do is tell them to put their cell phone in their pocket and listen to me because I'm not going to text them a question.
Yeah, no, it's speaking of that with technology. So I like to talk about maintenance management software and all this stuff that can help you track what we do. But we all know it's really about people and process and true skill development, and the technology layers on top of that. Do you, over your career, have to deal with a lot of technologies like work order management systems or any of that stuff? Or is it less of a thing when we're dealing in oil and gas, when we're actually boots on the ground, like out there doing the work, working on a rig or something?
Well, the two go hand in hand. You have to have the new technology with the old hand on the shovel. You just got to have both of them. You can't have one without the other. All technology or all grunt work does not get the job done anymore. You have to have a little bit of both in your back pocket.
Were you, in your career, can you remember a moment when you realized, oh, this thing I have to record all this stuff isn't nonsense. They're not babysitting me. It's showing us information we need to know to improve, say, for example, from a reliability perspective?
Well, in our industry, the guys out in the field, they absolutely could take shortcuts because there is nobody watching them. They have to self-manage themselves.
Yeah.
So the problem is that those guys have to realize that every time they go out to the middle of nowhere to read a gauge that nobody ever is going to see, somebody's life is in their hand. If they're just going to sit in their truck with their flashlight or their binoculars and try to read pressure without physically going out there and looking at it, somebody's going to get in trouble. If that gauge is reading 30 PSI 3 days in a row, they better go out there and thump it to see if it's actually working.
That's it. These are the things. So in asset management, equipment management, manufacturing facilities, schools, all that stuff, this concept of machine whisperers. It's the same thing where they know what they know, but the only way they can truly impart the information is through teaching, apprenticeship, mentorship. People should shadow you. But this one thing you talked about, this kind of, it's like laziness, and they've failed, and not always on purpose, right? It's not malicious. Failed to see the value in loading in those data points that are meaningful, not just, yep, work order done, but hey, took the reading, it's 30 psi, we did it at 4:00, and this is what it looks like. Next day, record that. Now we're starting to build a story, and that value is lost on them. They're like, yeah, I don't care about none of that stuff. I got a bunch of stuff to do. So I want to be really fair and kind. That's more of a culture thing, right? Like learning why these behaviors matter. Like for you, the way you speak about it, that's like automatic. It's part of what you do. And the thing I've noticed about maintenance people, industry people, people that do the real work the best, they don't lose the fundamental excellence of step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you add step 6, those are the ones that say, help me understand why that matters. And it's going to improve what I do, what we do, and for the organization. And it gets lost in translation, especially with these younger ones, right? Because if it ain't here, they don't get it. And it's just a different working style. So we shouldn't slap them around either. We just got to figure out a way.
Hey, Greg.
Ernie, what's up, man? Welcome to CMMS Radio.
That's right. So, and you forgot to tell everybody to stop by the American Banjo Museum, which is also here in OKC. If you come through, you can't miss that.
Oh, man, I didn't even realize that. I wasn't thinking of that.
Exactly.
So, way back in the 90s, like probably mid 90s, I was in OK City, and the things that stand out in my mind was how awesome the people were, super friendly, and I had the best barbecue I've probably ever had in my life. It was brisket, and it was like pulled, and I got it at a strip mall. It was like $7, and I could have died right there. It was the best ever. So, you know, I like OKC, and good shout out on the Banjo Museum. Long as we don't see anybody from Deliverance hanging around there, and we'll be all right. So tell me a little bit about your business. So it's Probes Unlimited, and you were telling me before we hit record a little bit about how it all really started, and then give us a little feedback on how you've been around and why that really matters for the industry.
So we're an OEM manufacturer of temperature sensors in multiple different markets. One of the markets we're involved in is we actually make the automatic temperature compensation sensors for the meter manufacturers. So utility grade meters, all the stuff that they're recording and billing off of. So we have to make things that are extremely accurate. And you know, going back to what you were talking to Bart about some of the changes that are coming with, maintenance software and things like that. One of the things that we're starting to see is most sensors are still analog in their makeup. We tend to sell a lot of RTD assemblies, which are basically it's a thin film platinum sensor. It's pure platinum. $2,200 a troy ounce. That's deposited on a piece of ceramic in a serpentine, and then they're laser trimmed. Common ones are 1,000 ohms, 100 ohms. There's some 500 ohms out there. And basically, those devices are extremely accurate over a wide range. They used to be more expensive. Now they're made in wafers. So the technology's advanced, which has brought the pricing down of RTDs down fairly close to NTC thermistors. But one of the trends we started seeing was, okay, you have these analog sensors. How can we develop in the actual sensor a higher level signal that then can be sent out to a supervisory network kind of situation? So how do you digitize something analog? So that's one of the things that we've been working on, and it's starting to come more and more. So going back to maintenance, most of these items need to be calibrated once a year. It depends on which regulation agency is looking at these things. one of the advantages is that when we basically in the sensor, we can actually do the temperature measurement and then send the data off of that sensor that will actually have a unique identifier, so you know where the sensor's at. So as you basically plug this into a large cloud-based monitoring system, you can know where the sensor's at. You can actually attach a calibration certificate to it. You can do change outs. The government has allowed now, because we're doing all that processing in the sensor, you're allowed to just swap sensors out and not have to get rid of all the other hardware. Whereas you were doing the measurement by using the hardware that the sensor plugged into. So you used to have to send in both the hardware and the sensor in order to do the calibrations. So that's one of the things that we're kind of seeing is developing not only in this industry, but in other industries that we're in.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of the, going back to the discussion with Bart is that we're finding it's extremely important for companies to be able to manage information. And a lot of times you win or lose based on how you manage your information. We do the same thing, even producing things on the production floor. We developed our own production management system. So even though we operate out of 2 manufacturing plants, one outside of Philadelphia and another one on the Florida Panhandle, we have a screen that we can see live during the day. We can actually see what job they're running in the production cell, what quantity they produced in the last hour, and if there's any issues with it.
Yeah. I had a question as you were describing that. When I look at more specifically in wind energy and energy scenarios, and this is certainly part of that. I have first of all, a dear friend and a heavy hitter globally when it comes to these technologies. And I'm talking about Motor Doc. I'm talking about Dr. Howard Penrose. And one of the things he and I often talk about is the security protocols when it comes to these environments. So I'm always paying really close attention. And I want to just ask you, does your technology, being in the environment specific to oil fields, right? Not necessarily the other ones, does it meet with the appropriate protocols? Because what I'm getting at is a lot of times wireless in energy scenarios or military bases is an absolute no-go. And I know it's kind of a challenging, difficult question, but I'm just curious if you've ever encountered that, because there's a practice out there sometimes where people are trying to circumvent security measures that are actually in place. So is there air gapping? What kind of stuff do you do to handle that?
I mean, still in a lot of those applications, you're still hardwiring things.
Okay.
And we're seeing in the ones where we're doing wireless, there's a lot of encryption involved. And usually, again, people don't really know our company or our brand out there as an individual thing, because we're really making stuff and then it's being sold by an Emerson or a Honeywell or somebody like that. So again, their engineering teams are working with that because our data is basically transmitted to their equipment. So then it becomes a question of how do they secure that? And
so that's their deal. That's
yeah.
You're
And
the OEM. Here it is, and you do what you do. We've made it to your spec, and then you're kind of like, yeah. If you need got a problem with the hardware or something, then talk to us.
And again, the right radio. So we're seeing a lot of LoRaWAN. In certain applications, you see some LoRaWAN, which is a mesh network. But again, it's also you can have a lot of data protections across that network, because we run into the same thing. People are also collecting data in restaurants. We're in a lot of restaurant equipment, so they become very particular. Burger King doesn't want you to send their data up using their internet link. They want you to handle it on their own, and you be responsible for the security. Because again, there is a lot of holes in those types of systems for people that hack. And I know this from setting up our network in our facility. We have very robust hardware firewalls and software to go along with it to really manage the data. And we're also we have a static IP address, but you can't find it on the internet. So if you ever try to ping it, so we did things so that we're basically a ghost out there. And again, I think that any company that wants to promote wireless for the simplicity and probably eventually it'll become lower cost, past, and we're playing around with batteries. Like we make a little temperature meter that has a cell phone battery in it, and it can wake up and take readings every 5 minutes and then send the data. And that battery will last for a year and a half.
Oh, that's solid. That's solid.
Sending data, and then you plug it into USB-C in 2 hours. It's up and running for another year and a half. So again, it's how much effort those companies put into making sure the data is secure, and then always staying in front of it, because once you secure it, somebody wants to break it just to show that they can break it.
Absolutely.
And with AI, they're going to find the software that's going to help them to do that.
Of course. And it's almost like, sounds silly, but cops and robbers. Cops came after the robbers, man. It wasn't the other way around. And that's the name of the game, right? So this is great. I appreciate all that story. Let's get it back over to Seth, because there's one thing I want to ask you about, Seth. You have a cool story about there in Oklahoma City. There's a company named, you can either call it One OK or One Oak, and it's a very large gas company. And you were telling me, hey, Greg, I got a cool story for you tomorrow. So can you knock that out for us real quick?
So the premise of the show, On Site and Off Grid, is to connect people, put a human side to the industry, and I actually got to see it firsthand. So both myself and Bart, we pulled up in a massive RV. It's all lettered, on site, off grid. The receptionist puts it on speakerphone. She goes, beep. And she goes, Chris, there are some guys here in a very large, looks like a Greyhound bus. And it says on site and off grid, East Hills Instruments. And he says, they're here? And that's usually from a salesperson's perspective, that's really nice to hear. They're here. He comes out and he goes, you guys look just like the ones on the show. I watched the show. I can't believe you're actually here. And, the one thing about our industry, it's awesome. I love the gas and oil industry, but it's not glitz, glamour. It's not Tinseltown. To see excitement and happiness being brought to a traditionally a boring sales meeting was really nice. It just was a really exciting thing. We finished the meeting and he says, would you mind if we go outside and take a photo by the RV? I guess it kind of felt like micro celebrities,
That's an interesting thing, right? Because I've experienced little bits of that in the last 4 or so years I've been doing this, and it's incredibly humbling. It's rewarding in this kind of weird way, and like for me, I don't want to be famous or anything like that, but I love to know if I'm making a difference, if I'm entertaining somebody, and if it's helping people learn some things, whether it be who they can follow and connect with to get some stuff done. Maybe they're going to do some business, or like, for example, I've got my Reliability X t-shirt on today because I'm really close with those fellas.
They're great.
They are very high integrity. George Williams, Joe Anderson, on and on. And those are the things I'm trying to make happen. And I don't really chase followers or sell my audience, but the story you just described, it's not just cool, but it gives you a signal that you're doing something that matters to somebody, and it gives you a little more confidence about your intention and what you were trying to do. Because I know the journey story.
The meeting took on a whole different dimension that I've never seen before. It was as if we were friends, not a cold. It wasn't a cold call, but it was typically a group of strangers getting together. This time, it took on a whole different feeling. We felt like we were friends. He felt like he knew me and the family from the show, and it was just a very enjoyable, time of passing information amongst each other. Yeah,
very cool, man. I love that stuff, and it's not, like, my opinion, it's not about being an influencer or a thought leader. It's about getting these stories, and I'm always going to tell people salt of the earth and all these things that each of you, the 3 of you, are doing, and the people you work with, and all this is connected to all of our lives. Most of us take it for granted. Not us, but we love sharing those stories because it might reach one person at a time.
There's one thing to mention. There's a reason why I have Bart to my right and Ernie to my left. Family-owned businesses, this is what drives this industry. People don't realize what goes on behind the scenes when they flip on their light switch or want heat or air conditioning. It's people like Bart, it's people like Ernie, it's East Hills Instruments. These are the driving forces behind the scenes that nobody knows. It just magically, you flip a switch and the lights go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what they think. And we happen to know it is way bigger than that. And there's a lot going on. And the family owned businesses, the real where it all starts, all these big companies out there, there was a time when they all started small. And some of them can launch big, but I love this stuff. I'm all about the real. And so what I want to do now, so we can kind of wrap up, get you guys back to doing what you're doing at the conference and hanging out. I want to do the fun question segment. I'm going to come up with a new one for you, Seth, but I want to start with Bart, and I'm going to do it differently than I usually do because we got multiple guests. So kick it over to Bart, and Bart, my friend, I'm going to have you answer some fun questions, and then we're going to kick it over to these aren't no traps here, man. These are just
Bart doesn't do fun.
all right. We're going to do real. How's that?
We can do real.
What
We
is
can
your
do
favorite?
fun. I'm a practical joker. We can do fun.
How about we do real fun?
I can do that.
What's your favorite music?
Classic country.
Why?
Because it's just got a story to tell.
I love it, man.
And I can hear the words to it.
That's I got a good buddy named Trent McJunkin with McJunkin Consulting, and he says it's country, it's the like original country, and the sadder the better. And he says I can't explain it, but it's just phenomenal. So
I like it. I like to hear when my dog runs off, my truck got stolen. Yeah, no, that's me.
Because that's life, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are missing on that. Let's kick it over to Ernie real quick. All right, Ernie, you ready for your fun question?
I'm ready.
All right. I would like to know, what is your favorite sport or hobby? And on sport, it can be one you like to root for. It does not have to be one that you play. And I sure wish I had a different hat on right now because you would hate it.
Well, I am an Eagles fan, but my favorite sport is actually baseball.
Nice.
I played it in college, and actually I just retired from playing a couple of years ago. So I played in an over 45 league, and
Nice.
I've forgotten how much I miss playing it. I love the way the game's played. I think that again, it's a shame what happens to kids nowadays, where kind of when they're 11, 12, 13, they specialize in one sport. And one of the things that I was, that I get concerned about is that, I think, like, we had a guy who was an excellent basketball player. I also played basketball too in high school and college. And, we had a guy who was a basketball player, and he basically played baseball in the spring. Now, he was the stud playing basketball, but in baseball, he was a second-hand player. So it's kind of, I think the kids are missing out, not on only they're injuring themselves by playing the sport, 11 months out of the year, not really having any time off. Whereas, when they went and played, it was basketball season, it was baseball season, it was football season. I think they missed out. I think it humbled some of these. Now you get these star athletes that seem like they have a big head because they're used to being the star everywhere they go. So I think that by playing those multiple sports, that kids will learn how to become humble, how to, how to work hard, how to lose and then pick yourself back up, because that's the most important thing that you learn playing sports is you learn how to lose, learn from it, pick yourself back up, and keep on going.
Yeah, if you're failing, it means you're trying.
Exactly.
And that's what matters. Love that, man. Love that. Quick question to finish that one off. When you did play baseball, do you mind me asking which position you played?
Yeah, I was a pitcher and a first baseman.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
And now I'm jealous because everybody throws 95 and up, and like I'm laughing because some guy's throwing a 90-mile-an-hour changeup. I said, man, what I wouldn't give to throw 90 again.
Oh,
And they're throwing change ups that fast.
It's wild, the progression as we watch over the years. Yeah. And when I was a little guy, you know, pee-wees and all that kind of nonsense, I played left field, and they always say, "Oh, you mean you're left out?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I got a gun, man. I can hit home plate from left field." And but I didn't keep doing it. So I really appreciate that. A lot of this stuff is connected, man, and it feeds into how you do what you do now. So it's all good stuff. Let's kick it back to Bart, and then we're going to close out with Seth.
All right. Back to Bart.
Bart, you're going to get the big one, man. No wrong answers here.
Oh, no.
Just fire from the gut, from the heart, from the soul, from the brain. I don't even care, man.
Do I need a drink for this question?
Nah, you'd be all right on this one. Maybe afterwards. What is your philosophy, perspective? Is it even a thing when it comes to this concept everybody's always talking about, work-life balance? Real? Nonsense? How do you approach it?
Well, if you like what you're doing, it's really not work. So
Sure.
And I don't have to balance work and life because my son works with me.
Nice.
He's been in the business for 20 years. So when he has to, when the kids are out of school or something, I get the grandkids up at the office, and so work and family kind of go hand in hand together. Kind of like Seth. He works with his parents every day. I work with my mom every day until she passed away. So, you know, I mean, so the work and life balance was always together.
Family businesses are they're the best, other than the times when they're not, because there can be some stuff.
And me and Seth have talked about that. Issues at work, stay at work. Issues at home, stay at home. You can't bring them either places.
Yeah.
You know, one is one and the other is the other.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It just reminds me of what kind of matters, like when I was growing up as a kid, and when you look at these different family businesses, there's just something there that you won't see at the bigger kind of corporate stuff. So love that answer, man. Thank you for that. Let's get it back to Seth, and then we're going to close out the show, man.
All right. Thank you.
You got it, man. Thank you, man. This is a blast for me, man. So Seth, I have to make up a question that I didn't plan for you.
You get me nervous, Greg.
No. You know me. I'm not here to jam anybody up, man. I'm only keeping it real.
We're friends, Greg. We're friends.
Yes, sir.
No friends in the industry.
This is we're colleagues, if you will. We're peers. That's what we are. So on this journey, and this is your second time doing this journey, you went with an even bigger rig. I'm going to say a bigger rig. There's things you're seeing out there, and there's things that you're learning that you may have known, that you may not have known. So I'd like to know if you can think of, on this trip, not the last one, on this one so far, has there been anything surprising, startling, or shocking? Just one thing that you were like, damn, that's cool.
Well, I don't know how cool it is, but driving from Louisiana to Texas and all the way through Oklahoma, I did notice in Oklahoma in particular, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of windmills. But what was the shocking part is 95% of them were non-operable. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I have to meet the salesman who sold all these windmills. That's the first thing that I thought of. And the second thing is I did a little research as to why they're not operable. You have to have wind over 50 miles per hour. And if the wind is too excessive, they have to put the brakes on it to avoid the bearings from burning up and catching fire. So windmills do work, but there's a small window of where they can operate. In short, alternative energy has a place, but if you really want something that's reliable, it's gas, oil, and nuclear. That's what it boils down to.
Well, and there's one thing I've learned, whether it was on TV or from some of my friends in this industry that I really trust, you can't have windmills without oil.
That is correct.
Yep. Otherwise, you can't make them.
One more thing to mention, because I know everyone gets caught up in news and media. The other thing that I observed is America's alive and well. There's American flags everywhere. There's patriots everywhere. The industry got together for a hospitality party. they're singing the Star Spangled Banner. You know, when you watch the news, it's doom and gloom. But when you
Sure.
drive through America, America's alive and well.
Yeah. Yeah, all that stuff out there, it's a bunch of nonsense. I tell people all the time, I watch it for entertainment. I don't believe most of that stuff, but what you're doing, getting out here, getting with Bart, getting with Ernie, learning about the businesses, talking to people in real conversation, showing that human side of why this stuff matters to us in America and in the world, because there's a bunch of people like this all over the world. It's good stuff. So I'm glad we could hook up today. All three of you gentlemen, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Bart. It was great to meet you virtually, brother. I'm not going to say go Eagles, but I wish you the best and nobody gets hurt this year. I'm just
go Birds. It's go Birds.
Well, you go Birds for you, but for me, I'm just seeing stars.
Well, let's all cheer for the.
There you go.
Let's all cheer for
That's
the same
right.
team. God bless America. That's our team.
There it is.
That's it, man. Let's close it out. Everybody throw the horns. Roll it around.
Woohoo!
Thank you, brother.
All right,
guys be
later,
good.
Greg. Catch you later.
You got it, man. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Greg.
You got it. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.